Breaking right now, Candace Owens, a nationally known conservative commentator and longtime friend of Charlie Kirk, has made a stunning claim about this case. She says she saw footage that shows two men moving a chair and even removing the SD card from a camera moments after the incident. If true, that's explosive. But let's be clear, this is her claim. She could be right, or she could be lying, exaggerating, or misled. That's why today we'll lay out exactly what she said, what we know so far, and what this could mean. Now you've seen it for yourself. What are they trying to hide? Do they know more than they're telling us? Were they sent by someone higher up? These are the questions people are asking right now. Drop your thoughts in the comments. Tell us where you're watching from and what you believe is really going on. And while you're here, hit that subscribe button because we are covering every angle of this story as it unfolds. But that's not all. Later in this video, we'll play another piece of footage that raises even more questions about what really happened that day. Stay tuned for that. Let's start with what Candace Owens actually said. In her live stream, she painted a vivid picture, not just about the chaos of that moment, but about one very specific detail that stood out. A man reaching for the camera and taking out its SD card. That is not something you expect to hear in the middle of a tragedy. Cameras are supposed to protect the truth. They're there to show us what really happened when memories fail or when testimonies conflict. So when someone claims that the very device meant to capture the truth was tampered with, that raises an entirely new level of suspicion. Now, after seeing that, you have to wonder, was this just confusion in the middle of a crisis, or was it intentional? And if it was intentional, then the next question is obvious. Why? Now, let's pause on this question of credibility. Why should the world pay attention to what Candace Owens says about this camera? This isn't a case of a random witness giving a shaky recollection. This is a public figure, a media personality with millions of followers, speaking live on her own platform. Candace Owens knows exactly how much weight her words carry, and she knows exactly how her words will ripple across the country. So why would she risk her reputation, her brand, and even her credibility with her audience if she didn't believe the footage she described was real? she gave specifics. She didn't just say a camera was missing. She described a man climbing, reaching for a mounted device, and pulling out its SD card. That's not the kind of detail that slips by casually. So the question for us and for investigators is this: did she really see this with her own eyes? Was she shown this footage privately, or was this something told to her to test how the public would react? No matter the answer, her credibility is on the line. If she is wrong, the public may never trust her again. But if she is right, then she may be the only reason we ever learn the camera was touched in the first place. Now, let's really pause and unpack this question of credibility, because it may be the single most important factor in how the public views the story. Why should anyone take seriously what Candace Owens says about this camera? On one hand, critics will point out that she is a political commentator, not a sworn investigator, not a law enforcement officer, and certainly not someone directly tasked with handling evidence. But on the other hand, she is not just any bystander either. She is someone who has built a national reputation, someone with millions of followers, and someone who has worked closely with Charlie Kirk in the past. That combination of public profile and personal connection makes her testimony unique. She was not a stranger watching from the sidelines. She knew Charlie personally. She has been on stages with him. She has appeared in interviews with him. And that emotional tie means her voice carries both personal weight and public reach. But here's the dilemma. Does that closeness make her more credible, or does it make her more vulnerable to bias? Could her grief, her anger, or her desire for justice be shaping the way she interprets what she saw or heard? At the same time, let's not ignore the stakes for her personally. By making such a bold claim, describing in detail a man removing the SD card from a mounted camera, Candace Owens is essentially betting her own credibility. If she's wrong, her opponents will never let her forget it. But if she's right, then she may go down as the person who cracked open a mystery that authorities either missed or chose not to highlight. Let's now turn directly to the evidence itself, because this is where the heart of the issue lies. Surveillance cameras are not accessories. They are not afterthoughts. They are the silent witnesses of our world, recording without fear, without favor, without the flaws that come with human memory. In moments of chaos, when multiple eyewitnesses give conflicting stories, video footage often becomes the deciding factor. So imagine, just for a moment, what could have been stored on that SD card. It might have captured the exact angle of the shooting. It might have shown the movement of people seconds before the event. It might have revealed if anyone appeared nervous, suspicious, or out of place. It might have shown whether the act was sudden or if signs of preparation were visible in the moments leading up to it. That card could have provided answers about timing, about positioning, about accountability. In fact, it could have been the single most valuable piece of evidence in the entire case. And yet here we are, talking about its absence. Missing evidence is not neutral. It creates imbalance. It leaves room for speculation. It plants doubt in the minds of the public. And worse, it can permanently weaken the pursuit of truth. So when we ask, where is the SD card? We are not asking a small question. We are asking about the integrity of the entire case. Now, you've seen another angle, and once again, the same issue comes up. Why is this being hidden? Why are ordinary citizens being left in the dark when the answers may already exist? Let's step back for a moment, because what we're looking at is bigger than just an SD card. This is a test of trust. The public's trust in institutions, the public's trust in investigations, and even the public's trust in what gets shared with us versus what gets buried. History teaches us something important here. Time and time again, when evidence is missing, when tapes are edited, when files vanish, it rarely restores confidence. It almost always does the opposite. People begin to suspect that what they aren't being allowed to see is worse than what they are being told. And that's where the real danger lies. Because this case isn't unfolding in a vacuum. It's happening at a moment in history when public skepticism is already at an all-time high. Every missing piece of evidence, whether it's a video, a photo, or even just a timeline, only deepens that skepticism. So the question we're really asking is this: how much longer can the public tolerate gaps in the truth? How much longer can confidence survive when cameras that should reveal reality are instead at the center of mystery? This is why the missing SD card has become a symbol. It's not just about what it might show, it's about what it represents: accountability, transparency, and whether or not ordinary people believe they're getting the full story. At the end of the day, every investigation rests on a single foundation: evidence. Without evidence, there is only speculation. Without transparency, there is only doubt. And without trust, the system itself begins to crumble. Candace Owens may not be a detective, but her claim has forced this conversation into the open. She has essentially put her own reputation on the line by saying, "I saw this, and I want the public to know." Whether she's telling the absolute truth or whether her version is flawed, the fact remains: the camera issue cannot simply be brushed aside. Because think about it. If this footage is legitimate, and if it contains details the public has not yet seen, then it could rewrite the entire timeline of that day. It could reveal who was where, who moved when, and who knew what. It could shift responsibility. It could even expose details no one has dared to speak about. On the other hand, if this is all a misunderstanding, then releasing the footage would clear the air. It would restore trust. It would show that the system is capable of handling truth without fear. But until that footage is brought into the light, we are left with questions that grow louder with every passing day. So here's my question for you. Do you think this SD card was removed to protect the evidence, or do you believe it was removed to hide something that someone didn't want the world to see? Drop your answer in the comments below. And remember, this conversation doesn't end here. It only begins here. Because more voices are speaking out, more footage is rumored to exist. And as long as pieces of the puzzle remain hidden, the demand for answers will only grow. If you want to stay ahead of the curve on this case, make sure you hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications right now. Because we're not letting this story go. We're going to keep following it, we're going to keep asking the tough questions, and we're going to keep bringing you the updates that others might not want you to hear. This is more than just a mystery about a camera. This is about truth. And the fight for truth is just getting started.